and hey, now you can do it again.
And get
because
back in the game.
At some point, you're going to be doing stuff overhead. You're going to paint the ceilings in your house. You're going to climb your tree stand.
Yeah.
So for people that are having range of motion issues, tight shoulders, tight hips, or whatever, get it checked out and assess some of these things before you end up having an issue. And you do that by exercising, by going to CrossFit.
Yeah. You have
by
to
going
go into the range
things.
of motion for it to become normal for you.
And if you can't do it, do something about it.
So, and call it being proactive. You don't necessarily have to do CrossFit. There's other things that you can do. You can do Olympic weightlifting. You can be a rucker. You can ruck, even though rucking is similar to packing meat off a mountain and often leads to shoulder issues if you do it notoriously all of the time.
Or if you
hip issues.
If you pack it correctly and you have it nice high up on the shoulders,
right,
and you are engaging your core and all that good stuff that you do learn in the gym.
But again, Billy Joe Bowhunter doesn't necessarily do that. No. They don't understand that concept.
They're hanging on their low spine the whole walk down.
And ultimately, you end up adapting to the activity you do. A desk worker ends up with that hunched over posture.
Oh, yeah.
If you're constantly hiking all the time, or you have a heavy pack on all the time, and you don't do other movements, you're going to adapt to that. So you're going to develop shoulder mobility issues, and hips, unless you're doing a lot of squatting. If you're just doing a lot of hiking and running and jogging, very, very limited range of motion in that. And all my distance runners have horrible hip range of motion.
Oh, yeah. They can
so
that's
why I don't care what it is. It could be Zumba, it could be any of these yoga especially is great. Mm-hmm. They have these body pump classes, but just do something that's totally different than what you do on a normal day-to-day basis in your job and your activities.
I'd love to see a whole classroom of yogis with orange on.
Well, isn't that a little bit of an oxymoron? Well, maybe not. It's the outdoor world's really starting to come around. There's more and more. But I think some of the things that I see these guys that actually have a voice in the archery community, and some of them put some... all I know is that I'm a small fish in the archery community. Mm-hmm. I'm a small fish in the athletic community, but I see some of the big fish out there put information out there, and I'm like, what are you doing and why are you putting that out there? Mm-hmm. I'm nobody to say anything about it, but regardless, which is also, that's a whole nother topic, but so if you are a bow hunter and you wanted to get into fitness, besides just quote unquote doing CrossFit, if you had to pick, say, 3 exercises, like almost like holy grail-ish exercises, things that you can do that are not going to hurt you, that anybody can do, and they're super easy, what would you pick?
Super easy, not complex movements that you can do on your own without a coach.
I'm going to say squat, just because that's one of my favorite exercises. And I mean,
not necessarily even a barbell squat.
If you don't know,
just air squats.
If you're not good with squats, I mean, just get in there, and we're going to go back to Kelly Starrett again. But he has the 5-minute squat test, I think he calls it. Mm-hmm. That's just sitting at the bottom of the squat or trying to get there, and working your way up to holding it for 5 minutes. Now, you might only get 30 seconds. You might not get below parallel the first time you do it, but get that hip mobility back. You're gonna need that climbing a stand if you're using a tree climber,
packing meat,
or if you're even a ladder stand. You need to get those hips up in the air, packing meat out, climbing hills. I mean, you need that hip mobility and strength for a little bit of everything. So squat's my number one. I don't know.
Yeah, squat's one of those things. I mean, really goes beyond hunting. If you can't squat,
you can't poop.
Yeah, you're not going to be in a tree stand anytime soon, let alone, be able to get off the crapper on your own. That's when you end up in a nursing home. You can kiss your hunting career goodbye.
That's right.
At that point. Besides squatting, I mean, squatting's very universal.
Yep.
It's a universal movement pattern.
Saves your back.
Saves your hips. It fixes a lot of problems.
Or identifies a lot of problems.
And it can identify. It's self-identify. It's self-corrective, too, just like the overhead movements we talked about.
Yep. And you can do that without any implement. Yeah. You can do it on your own, in your office,
put a pack
at home.
On. You can use barbell. You can hold something in your hands, dumbbells, some kettlebells.
A rock.
You can do,
whatever. Any kind of strict overhead press with a dumbbell, preferably, or kettlebell, single arm is great. If you have a barbell at home, that's fine, too. But some kind of overhead press and some kind of rowing for the upper back.
Absolutely.
That's something that gets neglected by pretty much every athlete out there before they get to the D1 or college level. Mm-hmm. They're in high school, they're in middle school, and what are they doing? They're doing bench and curls. Mm-hmm. They're completely neglecting their posterior, specifically the upper back. They might deadlift occasionally,
mirror muscles.
But really, you're talking about shoulder health. That whole upper back, the stronger it is, the more reinforced it is, the less likelihood that you're going to have a problem later down the road. Even if you are a poor mover, if you get it strong enough in the back, you're going to have less likelihood of breaking down later on in life.
And combine those two and say pull-ups. Pull-ups are great.
Pull-ups.
If you can get
that's a holy grail right there.
Yeah, that is the holy grail. Yeah. But and that's funny that you mentioned that, because that's one of the movements that this said very influential archery coach was talking about. But they were doing like quarter pull-ups. Like he wasn't even doing full range of motion.
They were coming down
strict. He wasn't coming to the bottom. He was kind of doing like a quarter chin up, like kind of like right here. I'm like, no partial movement is good for you.
Because you're missing the lats in that. I think you're getting mostly biceps when you're near the top. It's all biceps. Right. His upper back, his lats are probably weak, so he doesn't feel he can go down all the way. Because to get off that bottom, you need to engage those lats. Keep those shoulders back, and that's the best. He's missing the best part of the pull up for archery.
And archery for carrying packs. I mean, that whole movement is just it's priceless. It's hard. But the benefits, the return on investment on doing strict full range of motion. Oh yeah. I said it, people, full range of motion. Any movement. Same with squatting. Let's go back though and quick discuss that, because
depth of a squat.
Full depth squat. Knees track out over the toes.
Well, I will say, and I had this discussion recently with an athlete. They were moving kind of out of control because they want to get to depth. You got to have control getting to depth. There is an issue with coming down, collapsing way too hard. They're trying to find depth so hard, and they're just bouncing and riveting off their calves,
the ego
off their
makes
ankles.
The ego makes it so hard to say, I'm going to drop my squat max by 100 pounds, but I'm going to go to full depth controlled, and then rebuild back up. Because you say, okay, I got a 350-pound squat, and you go slow and you go to depth, and now it's only 300 pounds. But in the long run, and I went through that process myself, just barely breaking parallel. I can do a whole lot more now that I can bounce off the bottom. But I probably took me 3 to 4 months to reset and go back through and then build a new PR.
It takes that same little ego is the same thing that takes a bow hunter who's wants to draw 70, 75 pounds, but can't do it worth a shit. To back off to, maybe I should go down to 60, 55 so I can draw my bow the right way. And not expend so much energy and so much to try to get to that full draw, and then work my way back up. And I'll go back. We got 7 minutes. Clint Taylor, he lives in Canada. He went on a safari hunt, I believe, somewhere in Africa. He had sent me a message months ago. He was like, Frank, he goes, I know you're involved in the fitness stuff and whatever. He goes, I'm trying to get as close to 80 pounds as I can. What should I do? At the time, he was pulling like 60, 65. I said, slow and steady to get to 80. I was like, shooting is good, but here's a couple of exercises that you can do. Pull-ups was one of them. There was a couple other things that we had discussed. I said, but do not make huge jumps, which CrossFitters are notorious for doing when they're PRs. But, don't make huge jumps. Slowly work your way up, but you've got to be consistent with it. He got there. He just drawn his bow.
Slow progress is better than none.
I think he maxed out. I don't think he got to 80. I think he got to like 78 or 76.
But he got close.
Without
getting injured.
Yeah. I'm fortunate that I can shoot a 70, 72, 74 pounds, and I don't have an issue. But
you're also a very big guy.
I'm a larger
and
frame
dude. You're just a strong fellow.
I don't have, but soon I'm not going to keep that forever.
You can hold on to it as long as you want.
Well, yeah, right. But with today's equipment, like you don't have to do that. No. And I think that's the other important thing on the archery side to put out to people is that with today's equipment, you can shoot 60 pounds and still
take down a bear
and still achieve the same speeds and kinetic energy. You just gotta play with the equipment and play with what they provide you. But first things first, you have to do things right. You have to take care of, and more importantly, I think this is probably something that all three of us, as we've gotten older in this, the fit is listen to your body.
Oh yeah,
listen to your body. Yeah. If your body says don't do this or it's not quite right, something's wrong, address it.
Well, that goes back into what we started off talking about, like volume of work for an archer, and this goes with any athlete. You have something that's called MRV, max recoverable volume. It changes with gender, it changes with age.
Yeah.
What type of exercise are we doing here? What's appropriate for Joe Blow? He needs to build, we might have said the number 50 to 100. Well, someone's head just got perked up and said, well, maybe that's what I need to be doing, 50 to 100 reps.
Yeah.
Maybe not. Maybe let's work on 40.
Yeah.
And and see if you can handle that and build off of that, build a base.
And true, and we talked about, we spent most of this time talking about people that aren't probably not doing enough, but in the same respect, there's people out there that do way too much. And again, we see this in the fitness world where they're just pedal to the metal. They think they're 18 years old when their testosterone and other hormones are sky high,
Yep.
and now they're 45 years old, and
It's dropping
and
off.
they're trying to maintain that pace, and they don't recover. They don't take those breaks.
Yep.
So they work out week after week after week. And even me in my late 30s, 4 to 5 weeks of heavy workouts, I need a deload week. I need to take a week off. So archery is probably the same way. If you're shooting heavy and you're exercising and doing all that stuff, you might need a light week every once in a while.
Yeah. Well, what I wanted to say prior, right after you got done, it's what I always say to people I work with or people who come to me for advice on form or whatever. I always tell them it's quality versus quantity.
Mm-hmm.
More quality shots are going to have more carryover to your success as an archer than just shooting shit tons of shots that you
That
can
don't
give
mean anything.
two iotas about your form.
Yeah.
And that's quantity's great if it's done right.
Yep.
But if it's not done right, that's where form comes in. And that's like any exercise, really.
Yeah.
Whether if you're not ready to snatch from the ground because you still can't really pull a decent power snatch, well, then there's no reason for you to do that.
No, we're not there yet.
If you want to, you can try to do all the movement you want, but if you're doing it crappy, then that's when things kind of start to. That's when you start to deteriorate as an athlete.
Yeah, absolutely.
So Michael, I hope you get a chance to listen to this podcast because you kind of were one of the. Hold on 1 second. Just wanted to see if Michael commented now. You kind of got the main topic, buddy. So thanks for your question. And if there's anybody else out there that gets to listen to this and they have some feedback or questions, something tells me already because this flows pretty well with the three of us. We'll probably end up doing a topic again or something similar.
Yeah.
So if you have a question or you want to know, Mitchell, where can they find you on social media for the most part?
You can find me at CrossFit Fluid on Instagram and Twitter, and you can find me on Facebook as well. And
email address.
The email address is crossfitfluid@gmail.com.
All right. And Dr. Buddy Tuchinski?
So I have a website, drtuchinski.com, all letters, no period in there. And I'm on Facebook. I'm sure there's not too many Buddy Tuchinskis in the world. So if there's a Dr. Buddy Tuchinski, that's going to be me. I also have a great group for health tips. It's called Healthy Habits with, I think it's B. Tuchinski DC. So if you see something like that, join in there. We share health tips.
Is that a Facebook group?
That's a Facebook group, yep, Healthy Habits with B. Tuchinski. And we talk about meals, meal planning, just healthy habits in general, exercise, meditation, whatever. We try to get people optimizing their healthy lifestyle so that they can recover better, think better, perform better.
Good stuff.
Et cetera.
And likewise, guys, you know where to follow Online Archery Challenge. We have our own competitors group. If something that you heard today, triggers you to say, man, I need to look at this or have this looked at, you can go onto my Online Archery Challenge. It's www.onlinearcherycomps.com. Go to coaching and video analysis and click on there. There's coaching packages on there as well as video analysis opportunities. So if you need help with any of these things or you want to know more or have questions, reach out to any of us. We'll make sure that you get pointed in the right direction. And with that being said, and as archery season approaches, good luck to everybody out there. And thanks for joining in. Take care.